Okay, so this is a video for GCSE Edexcel Business. This one's the business plan, and it's within topic 1.3, putting a business idea into practice. The business plan, there's only one key term really to know here, and it's a plan for the development of a business giving forecasts such as sales, costs and cash flow. The business plan is a document which a business owner, prospective owner, somebody about to set up a business will create or should create. It looks at the idea, the name, the legal structure. Are you going to be a partnership? Are you going to be an LTD? Are you going to be a sole trader? Who are your customers going to be? What's your target market? What kind of big equipment purchases are you going to need to make? Is there any specialist equipment that you need to get? It's got to look at the premises, the location that your business is going to be set up in. How will the location potentially affect customers? The products and the services that you are going to sell, what will make them unique, why will people want to buy them, and then looking at market research that you've done, and then looking potentially at some of the finances and how you're going to finance the business. The business plan is a document that's been, once it's been put together, is really useful for a few reasons. So one of the typical questions that you might get asked in the exam is, what's in the business plan? So you need to know this list. This is a pretty comprehensive list, but these are the kinds of things that will go into a business plan, and you do need to know them for the Unit 1 exam. The second thing that you need to know for the exam is, what's the business plan used for? So first of all, if we just flick back to that list, you can see how comprehensive a list that is. Therefore, if it's done properly, it encourages entrepreneurs to think about every aspect of the business idea before they set it up. So rather than somebody just going, oh, I'm going to set up a bakery, and then just going out and finding premises and then maybe thinking about the equipment, it encourages you to think about everything methodically in a really structured way before you actually set the business up. Which then leads on to number 2. If you've done that, then this should minimise the risk of setting up the business. If you've thought to yourself, well, what are the challenges with setting up this business? If you've really thought about setting that business up, as you're doing the business plan, you'll come across problems. We can't afford the location. That location's incredibly expensive, and you'll start to tweak and adapt your idea, and you should hopefully identify the pitfalls before you go on and set that business up, so it helps to minimise risk. So the third way that it can be a really useful document is by securing funding from banks or venture capitalists, or it could even be friends and family. If you've managed to create the plan and it's a really detailed plan, then anyone who's thinking about lending you money for your business will be able to look at it, work out exactly what your business idea is, see that you've thought about everything, and it will answer lots of questions for them, and they'll be able to make an informed decision as to whether they choose to give you the money or not. Banks nearly always will insist that you produce your business plan before they even consider lending you any money, and as you'll have seen on things like Dragon's Den, they expect that people have done a lot of this work beforehand and produce business plans before they come into the Dragon's Den to talk to them about the business idea. Finally, one of the last things it will help you do is, after you've created it and you've got the business up and running, it will be able to tell you whether you are on track. You'll be able to look at what your cash flow forecast was, what your predictions were for the number of customers, and were you right or were you wrong, and to see whether you are being as successful as you thought you were going to be. So then that leads us to a little bit of exam practice. Now, as I said, in terms of what you need to know what's in the business plan and what it could potentially be used for. This hasn't been a heavily examined topic in the past, but it's quite easy to ask questions about, so don't assume that it's not going to turn up, because if it does, it might turn up like a 3-marker, which is a really important question. If it's worth 3 marks, you need to be getting it right. This one was, which of the 3 of the following would Hamish include in the business plan? And so you needed to work through this, and you needed to think what was going to be in the business plan. So pause the video, have a look at the questions, and then see which of the 3 answers you think is correct. So here we've got the 3 correct answers. Summary of market research carried out. So any market research that's been done is going to be in your business plan. Now, this was a tricky question. It was one of those questions which the examiners put in, and there was some answers in there which could have been right, such as copy of the design of his letter heading. It could have been right, but it isn't the most right answer of the answers that are here. Projected profit and loss account has to be in there. Overview of the nature of the business has to be in there. Names and addresses of employees could have been in there, unlikely addresses, but you quite often have the names of your key personnel in a business docket, in a business plan. So this is one where there was, 5 answers which were in some cases reasonably right, but you had to pick the 3 which were the most appropriate, in which case it was A, C and F. So as I say, for the exam you need to think about what's in the business plan, and you also need to think about what can it be used for. If you've got both of those things in your head, then you should be alright with any questions they throw at you in the exam. Best of luck.